to search large indices. That's the first enhancement. The second one had to do, we call it a sharded agent index. And this basically means take one index and break it up into smaller individual indices. So one monolithic index could become X number of smaller indexes, and therefore the index updates would be happening simultaneously, and it would provide the ability to increase searching, because now we would have multiple agents searching multiple indices instead of a single agent, or even multiple agents searching one monolithic large index. A shard is a piece of a whole. So we use that term to create a sharded agent index, where this means actually one index will be broken up into multiple smaller pieces. This is a configuration type of option. It has to be done ahead of time, meaning that the initial index would have to be sharded also, and just allows the ability to handle much larger file shares in a economical way that performs well. The second part of this is a new high performance indexing appliance. We basically looked at how indexing works and created the ability to have a higher performance indexing appliance that will also help with turnaround. So those are the real main enhancements is for dealing with large file shares, and by breaking them up, multiple searching, and then making sure it was as high performance as we feel is practical. In addition, a bunch of bug fixes and improvements. We did have a challenge where, from an operating system standpoint, as people may know, we follow sort of an open source approach, where we use open source tools to create Heureka. And one of those open source components is the operating system, specifically the Linux operating system. And at the beginning of the year, Red Hat, which is a operating system provider, because of their acquisition by IBM, they basically changed some strategy, and that resulted in us having to switch a version of Linux that we were using for Heureka. And we basically needed to comply with that. At the same time, we did provide the ability for, in a configuration type of option, for our search database to be able to use Postgres SQL, which is a open source database tool. We provide the ability to auto reclassify when custom tags are removed. So this is a real functionality kind of bug or a fix or an improvement. If you would provide a custom tag on a set of documents, what that basically meant was that from that point forward, those documents would retain that custom tag, and any of our standard tagging, like for social security numbers or credit card numbers, would not be applied to that document because the custom tag was present. What we did was provide the ability now to remove the custom tags, and what that means is that that document then it will be re-available for our standard tags to be applied the next time our classification model runs. So it's just a way for consistency's sake. If custom tags aren't present, our standard tags apply. If the custom tag is present, our standard tags do not apply. And when you remove a tag, it basically starts the process over again. Windows container path support is just a way that improve our ability to process containers. And then depending on what the path is for these documents and what the path is for the containers, we had a bug there that we fixed. And then certain cloud versus on-prem considerations is just configuration options for people who choose one or the other. So that's sort of from an engineering side, what we focused on for this release. Again, the big functionality is the ability to handle large file shares, be able to do it in a very economical way, a common sense way that fits our architecture, and we're seeing some nice results there. So that's it.
And then Greg, any particular considerations, cloud versus on-prem, or is this all pretty much applicable across all environments?
I believe it's applicable across all environments, but again, it's sort of at configuration time, and you know, be happy to walk people through very details about how they're configured. But just from a general perspective, you know, it's just improvements in the way we configure.
Yeah, so that kind of brings up the next topic here. First of all, are there any questions on that? There's a lot more behind that, but we're just trying to give everybody, you know, kind of a quick look under the hood. Any questions? Okay. Stop me at any time if you think of a question. So for whoever wants them, and I haven't just sent these out, you know, kind of blasted, but release notes are available as well as the appliance installation guide and the appliance migration guide. The appliance installation and migration guides will be key if you are installed on-prem behind the firewall. But generally speaking, the release notes, you know, will give insight to that. I can send those out, and we'll send those out upon request. And we haven't gotten to everybody, but we're trying to schedule one-on-one meetings just to review with every customer what's going on in their environment, any questions they might have. So in a couple of instances over the past 2 weeks, we've spent some time looking over the shoulder of those who are, you know, making some nuanced changes, you know, maybe setting up a new Linux OS and so forth. So we can schedule that. I will be contacting everyone who's a customer. If I haven't reached out to you yet, I'm getting through everybody, and you will hear from me. I know everyone, particularly our university clients, are scrambling now to try to figure out how to get back online and get students back in. So we're all dealing with some unusual circumstances, and we get that. So we're going to wait until everybody's ready, but we want to make sure that everybody gets through this process without a hitch, and that they have the opportunity to really leverage the optimized performance. So just to review, if you want any release documentation, please let me know. If you don't reach out to me, be assured I will be reaching out to you. Some of you on the call today, I can see we've already met with, but don't hesitate to call by all means. Regardless of the issue, regardless of whether or not you think it's a minor thing or a major thing, reach out. We want to get through this without hiccups. We have a very large client that went through this last week, and in their words, it was a Godspeed. It was a godsend. They, you know, it went pretty much unhitched, and they're already beginning to realize the increased performance. So that's kind of a, you know, wipe the brow. We got through that and went really well and really smoothly. So we're glad for that. So before we end here, anyone have any questions? Wait a minute here. Let's see, I think I got one come through. So the question is about performance data. We don't have any performance data yet. So the client that migrated last week, the particular environment they have is 15 terabytes right now, and they've just begun this week to you know, re-index that. So we're waiting to see, you know, waiting to see what it looks like in a true production environment. You know, obviously we did testing. We couldn't really stress test it to the degree that, you know, we have 10, 20, 30 terabytes to sort through. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. And that's something that we really want to know. We've got our guess, but we're going to, somebody asks, what is the high performance indexing appliance? Greg?
Well, you know, I don't want to go the real detail here, but all of the performance on file shares is also dependent on things like memory, how the virtual machines are set up, and the network sort of throughput connection between those devices. And what I believe we did on the high performance appliance was to make sure that we're taking advantage of available memory in order to, increase the throughput between those devices. So it is still, we are dependent on, like anyone, we would be dependent on the actual solution that's in play in each file share scenario, because it does require a virtual machine to be set up, and of course as much memory and as many processors are available to that virtual machine is a real determinant, or it's very correlated to the performance of it. And we just wanted to make sure that we were taking advantage of all of those resources the best way we can in order to improve performance. So by Tim saying that, yeah, we benchmark this on our, sort of test environments with, using the cloud and using VMs and things like that. But that may or may not have, a direct answer to how a file share indexer and search capability works in any of your corporate IT departments that builds a virtual machine that's connected to a file share on your network. So what we did was we wanted to make sure that we knew what from our software standpoint, how to take advantage of the resources that are available, and are we using them to the best of our advantage. And we did testing, and we made smaller machines and larger machines and things like that, but just to make sure that we had a high performance, or as high performance as we can, using the resources that are available. And that's why, again, to back up what Tim said, be happy to have a very, a discussion about individual configurations of file shares, because it quickly gets into the virtual machine size and the resources that are available to Heureka to process on that network. And we could probably, in a very short time, which we'll volunteer to do, be able to improve the performance.
Yeah, so we're going to keep an eye on that since we're just out of the gate, and try to measure that. It's one data point. As other clients come online, we're going to also benchmark those. So we're going to build a book here, if you will, of performance data, but we're just fresh out of the gate. All right, any other questions? All right, everyone, thank you very much. Please, again, I'll say it, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you haven't heard from me yet, you soon will. All right, everyone, be safe, be well, take care of one another. And thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
So long, everyone.